What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live broadcast of the Engadget podcast. I'm Senior Editor Devindra Hardwar. Hey, joining me this morning is Deputy Editor Cherlynn Lowe. Hey, Cherlynn.
Hola.
Hola. And podcast producer Ben Elman. Hey, Ben.
I did my first trampoline front flip at gymnastics a couple
Oh,
days ago. Nobody
cool.
can tell me anything now.
Damn.
That's cool. Please don't don't hurt your neck, Ben. Every time I see those things, it's like so terrifying. Good morning, everybody in chat. I see people were waiting for a bit to join us. Let's see who are we going on here.
Thanks for the patience.
Thanks for the patience. I will have to say, Sami, I keep seeing your messages as being retracted.
Redacted. Yeah,
so I think you were
retracted.
deleting them and asking the same thing over and over again.
It seems
I'm
like
gonna have to like just kick you off at some point. So leave your questions.
Leave them there. Otherwise, how are we gonna respond to them? You know.
Yeah.
Copilot button laptop. See, there you go.
Is that a question?
Leaving that there.
Is that a
it's
question?
It's not a question.
Okay.
I think Sami's just
hello,
reacting.
Lord.
You know?
Yeah, no. Lord Buckethead. Hello. Loy Nguyen. Hello. Courtesy Clark.
Lord Buckethead, confirm. Are you talking about the guitarist, the one who was featured on, what was it, like Guitar Hero 2 or something?
Hello to Vinny from the UK. Deep Row 9 Retro Arc is available in the store for all Apple devices. It's amazing. You can install it on your Apple TV. George Morgan, Michael Coley, both say hi. Michael Coley, I saw somewhere, I think it was on Threads, that you said a rival publication is your favorite, and I think I am not your friend anymore.
Wow. This is why you shouldn't go on Threads, because you see what people
This is why nobody should be. This is the algorithm at work. Like, how am I seeing Michael Coley's threads?
Well, you know how Facebook's all about like stoking controversy to make you inflamed for engagement?
That's exactly what they're doing.
That's exactly what they're doing. Hello, folks. We are all very tired because it's been a very busy week. I flew into Seattle Sunday and flew out Tuesday afternoon, and we covered all the Microsoft stuff. And also stuff was still happening on the news front, as I'm sure Cherlynn has been juggling things, briefings, and other events. So good morning. Hope you all had a good morning here in the chat. Thank you for joining us.
Speaking of, Devindra, you just remind
me,
go ahead, Cherlynn.
I will throw something into other news right now.
Okay. There's so much happening, but hey, at least I got to see Furiosa very early, and I'm happy about that.
So Simon B, your question was not forgotten, and you know what? Chat hero Mark Dell emailed that to us. So why don't we take a second to answer Simon B's question?
What was Simon B's question?
So is there a reason for the average user to subscribe to Gemini, and what would the best option be right now? Is it OpenAI or Google? Because Simon B is a Google fan.
I don't know what the meaning of a Google fan is, but don't pay for any of this stuff. I think that's the main thing we're taking away. Like, hey, OpenAI was selling ChatGPT Pro or GPT Pro for a while, and then they released 4.0, which was better, and then that's just free. So I think right now, unless you really have a use for any of these tools for what they specifically do, I would not pay for any of the like LLM stuff like Gemini, Copilot. I had Copilot Plus for a couple months, did absolutely nothing for me, really. So don't spend your money yet. There are a bunch of great AI tools. Like I've been using Descript to do some podcast stuff and transcription. There are things out there that are specifically AI powered that may be worth investing in depending on your workflow. I don't know if you have thoughts, Cherlynn.
Not quite. Other than there's so much free stuff available that I don't know why people should pay for them yet. And I don't know that I want another AI, like another subscription service that does not enough just yet. I want to point out hi to Cud or CUD, hi to Lloyd Nguyen, hi Alex Peterson. Nope in the chat says recall is scary or scary. Michael Coley says, oh no, yeah, we're watching you. That's what the AI is doing. Lord Buckethead can neither confirm nor deny. Govin Krishna Lal Balaji says recall only works locally. You guys, we're gonna get into that. That's the whole point. I'm sure.
Yeah.
David Talbert also retracted a message. I'm not sure what they said. And hi to Sammy, who also said hello and then retracted a hello, and then said hello again.
No retracted hellos.
No retracted hellos.
David Talbert now says, hi guys, they're looking forward to hearing about the Microsoft event, especially the Surface laptop should be a good discussion.
I've got like background details, just like experiencing that whole thing and how dumb it was that Microsoft had this amazing event and did not live stream it. So I spent a lot of that day. I'll talk about that.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay.
It's okay. If hello chat. We're gonna get into the show soon. If you're joining us for the first time, we are gonna record the Engadget podcast, which means we won't be directly engaging with the chat. We were mainly doing this for the audio, but we'll take some breaks in between segments to do Q&A with people. So leave your questions down here. Ben will be keeping track, and also, if we don't get to your question by the end of the episode, please email it in, as Mark Dell did. Hello, big fan Mark Dell.
Yeah.
So we'll
Hi,
be
Quinn. Hi, Cheyenne.
Hello.
Also need to cover up this Verizon logo on my cup because it's from
no longer applicable.
You gotta
when they were our parent company.
You gotta graffiti it to something else.
Or
you
gotta,
gotta,
just put a sticker on it. You don't need to put your thumb over it. Just put a sticker
it doesn't,
on it.
It literally
next
time.
Next time.
You're actually making a check mark. This is a check mark is what you're doing.
In fact, I just started using the Shure not SM7B, MV7. And the big difference between the SM7B and the MV7 is that it has a big Shure logo on it. That
it does.
Like, I am so looking forward to putting like a nice sticker over.
Stickers
but also, like, I need to get some light on my face.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Everybody needs like a little light. A little. You're all good. Okay. We're going to start soon, folks. Everybody's recording locally. Devices on silent at home. You can follow with us too. We're going to do a clap countdown for all the fun stuff as well.
I just silenced my phone.
So if you're a first-time viewer of the Engadget live stream, first thing, welcome.
Hello.
Second thing, we're going to do a countdown to figure out where the files start. So it makes it a little easier for when I'm editing. Then we're going to do like a little bit of silence, and just be aware that we're not going to be able to talk to chat like in real time all the time, because we also want to make sure that this is something fun to listen to after the fact. So for all the podcast listeners, like, it wouldn't be so much fun if we were talking to chat all the time. We might mention like really good comments that we found in chat, because you guys make us smarter every time. Like, you help produce this show, to be honest.
Better to have discussions among the chat, I'd say. Like, we will filter out good things.
Yeah. Have discussions among the chat. We might like bring up some stuff. But so I'm going to count down from 3. At the end of 3, we're all going to clap. If you want to put a clap emoji or like a snap fingers emoji in the chat, that's always appreciated. So counting down from 3, 2, 1. Okay, silence over. Let's get to it.
Cool. I like the chat participation. Thank you, folks. Okay. Let's go in 3, 2,
hang on.
Go.
There seems to be a imposter Mark Dell in the chat, just FYI.
Well,
it's Mark Dell without the verified.
Hold on. And now
something's up.
No, my computer did a weird freeze. Where both the mic froze and also the audio. Are we being hacked in real time?
Did you give it a Slurpee?
I don't know. Okay, Mark Dell says it's the real him. Okay, are we good to go?
Yeah.
All right, let's go in 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Engadget. Sorry. I noticed my waveforms are weird. Okay. Let me lower a level here because I think my audio processor, something like reset itself. Okay. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Engadget podcast. I'm senior editor Devindra Hardwar.
I'm deputy editor Cherlynn Lowe.
This week, it's kind of all about Microsoft, which is a weird thing to say. They had a big event this week announcing their Copilot Plus initiative, new Surface consumer PCs that we've been kind of, hoping to see for a long while. And sort of like a complete relaunch of how we think about Windows laptops, and especially how Windows laptops interact with ARM processors. So bit of geeky stuff here, but I think Cherlynn and I are ready to dive into it because we have suffered through so many Windows on ARM PCs, and I think this is our moment, finally. So, as always, folks, if you're enjoying the show, please be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Leave us a review on iTunes and drop us an email at podcast@engadget.com. Hello.
Ev, can you give us the end part of that?
Let's do that again, because we had a whole sneeze in it. Please use your mute buttons.
You can always cut just my track.
Oh no, we could. No, we can cut your track. It's just I would like the same thing from Devindra again.
Same. Sorry. I'm gonna do it all again, and also it still goes to the live stream. Okay. As always, folks, if you're enjoying the show, please be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Leave us a review on iTunes. Leave us a review on iTunes and drop us an email at podcast@engadget.com. Thanks. My computer's doing weird things, so it's kind of like messing with my flow here. But let's talk about all this Microsoft stuff. Okay, so this week was Microsoft Build, but it was not just Microsoft Build. Microsoft had a pre-build event, a 0-day event, I guess, where they invited media to come check out an announcement where we expected to hear more about Copilot AI stuff and also Surface consumer PCs. And basically details were rumbling for a while that Microsoft and Qualcomm were working on something together, like getting those new Qualcomm chips, which we have not really talked about much, but these were chips they announced last fall. There were benchmarks going out, the Snapdragon X Elite and X Plus, and the benchmarks looked really good. Like the benchmarks were shockingly good, and I didn't trust them for a very long time, but it seems like Microsoft did, because they essentially have built an entire new PC platform around them, and that's Copilot Plus. So Copilot Plus PCs are similar to like the AI PC stuff we've talked about for the past year from Intel and AMD, but this is a full-on initiative with like minimum specs from Microsoft. So that is 16 gigabytes of RAM, the whole, like our recommended RAM spec, great, 256 gigabytes of storage, and an NPU with at least 40 tops of power. So that's trillions of operations per second. That's kind of how you rate AI performance, because it's also really weird how NPUs work. Yeah, there was a great explanation of this, but like CPUs work by doing like basic arithmetic, right? Like 1 plus 1 plus 1, doing basic commands. GPUs work in parallel. They can do multiple things at once. NPUs are like this weird thing where it's like parallels of parallels. So even small processors can do a lot of operations without using a lot of power. So that is kind of where we are now. We've talked about NPUs for a while, and this is basically like, hey, this is a high-end premium PC laptop spec that looks very similar to what Apple did to its computers 4 years ago. It's essentially when Apple swapped to its M series chips, and which are based on ARM, away from the Intel chips, reoriented their whole operating system around the M series chips. And we were blown away because they were super powerful. The MacBook Air M1, none of the MacBook Airs have fans anymore because they didn't need to. Those chips are so efficient and they're super powerful. Like the benchmarks blew us away. Apple did this 4 years ago. Microsoft is not Apple, right, Cherlynn? Like they can't just be like, hey, everybody, we're using this chip now and all our software is done to do a new thing. No, they have to work with partners and Qualcomm and everybody. So that seems like that's what's happened here. Like Microsoft has been working with Qualcomm for a while to like, hey, is this chip actually good? Is this not the Snapdragon 8CX or whatever it was last time that really sucked on the Surface Pro 9? And then Microsoft has to ask itself, is Windows actually ready for ARM? And I think it kind of is. We'll dive more into that. And then they have to talk to the partners and be like, hey, are you guys cool with this? Are you going to build these computers too? So Dell, Asus, everybody, it seems like they are on board. This is not just an ARM initiative, because also, hey, Intel and AMD also sent in videos saying, hey, yes, we're Copilot Plus too. We have not announced chips that support 40 tops of NPUs yet, but soon we will have them. Intel said its Lunar Lake chips coming later this fall will be up to spec on this. So Cherlynn, you helped coordinate all this news with me. You kind of guided everybody on site, but you're also a PC person. You've reviewed a lot of Windows on ARM devices. How do you just feel about this concept? Do you feel like, hey, Microsoft has finally gotten the picture with its problems around the ARM chips?
I would have to wait to see what it feels to use one of these in the real world. I think one of our biggest issues with Windows on Snapdragon the last time this happened was around 2017, was the chips on paper. I don't think they were really the problem. I think, yes, maybe Qualcomm shouldn't have started by repurposing a mobile chip, right? It shouldn't have done the 800 series chip for desktop first, and it should have done from the ground up an X Elite or an X Plus from but the thing is, Microsoft more or less did the same thing, right? It kind of repurposed Windows for ARM, but it didn't. And it just sounds like this time both of them have revamped architecture from the ground up, designed for ARM. It's a bit more. The problem is that I don't have faith in them, right? I've been burned so hard.
We've been burned so many times. How many times? And I don't know. Did you ever touch the original Surface, Cherlynn, with Windows RT?
No,
that was like their first big step, right? When they had a Surface launch event in 2012 in LA, of all places. And first of all, we were like, why? You're sending everybody to LA, Microsoft? For you?
It's It was that, and it was like, listen, even in recent years, right, there was that big push in 2017. eSIM was a big part of it. They made very big claims together with Qualcomm, and then they did the Surface 10 or X, right? And that was supposed to be another big move into like Qualcomm-powered or Snapdragon-powered Windows devices. Then, as Mark Dell in the chat points out, Mark remembers not even being able to run Notion on their Surface X. And yes, there would always be these random little apps you just couldn't run. And the emulator just doesn't provide enough support for all of the apps out there because you just can't, because Windows is an open ecosystem, at least compared to Mac OS. So when you bring in the fact that Microsoft and Qualcomm both had to first revamp from the ground up, then you bring in the third-party manufacturers who all, by the way, kind of want to do their own thing with the Copilot Plus PCs. I covered the HP OmniBook and EliteBook thing, which we'll get to a bit more later, but they also have their own AI-powered companion using ChatGPT 3.5, whereas like elsewhere in Copilot, you're using GPT-4 Omega.
Yeah.
It's confusing again. It's going to be confusing.
I will. So let's lay out the real problem here too. Is like we're talking about Windows on ARM. ARM is basically the chip design behind most mobile chips. That's different than x86 and x64, which is like the Intel and AMD stuff that PCs have historically run on. It's smaller. It's more efficient. It requires a complete rethinking of your software. And Microsoft over the last decade has really kind of forced trying to get Windows on it. Windows RT was a really stripped down version of Windows that barely did anything, and my God, I hated that, and I hated the original Surface. When you did the Pro X, Cherlynn, I think they also didn't really have emulation then. A couple years after that came out, they did introduce like some very basic emulation. That's what was in the Surface Pro 9 5G, which was on one I reviewed 2 years ago.
But it was still, there was an emulation layer glitch, not a glitch delay. There was a lag.
It was slow. It was slow and it was dumb. And even Google was like, I'm not going to build a native app for your crummy, Surface. Like even Chrome was not native back then. So just the whole experience was so bad. And I was also getting really annoyed at Microsoft for being like, you can't call this a Surface Pro 9. Because it's not. It's not the same as the Surface Pro 9 Intel. You are lying to consumers. Anybody going to a Best Buy or something to, hey, I want 5G on my computer. I'll pay a couple of bucks a month to have always on 5G. It's not the same computer. It's a very different computer than the Intel Surface Pro 9.
It was also too expensive, right?
It was too expensive. You also paid like a big premium for it too. So anyway, hated the Surface Pro 9 5G. I went to this event. Full disclosure, I did talk with Microsoft executives a couple weeks ago. So we had some discussions about what this would be. So we would all have more context about this stuff. And even then I was asking them like, we can't trust you. You have burned us so many times with Windows on ARM. And the stuff people kept coming back to. And also you should all listen to the bonus episode I produced a couple days ago with Pavan Davaluri. He's the head of Windows, head of Surface, and he's the new guy in charge now that what's his name left? Panos left. Panos Panay left. And we have not heard much from him when he went to
my man Amazon. Panos.
Our man Panos, who was behind a lot of these Surface problems. So yeah. I think Pavan was like well aware, and when you hear from executives like, yeah, we read your reviews. Yes, we listen to your complaints. Like we take it all to heart. What we're hearing differently now, in what we covered, it seems like they have reworked Windows 11 in several ways. Like they said they rebuilt the kernel. There's a new compiler. There's like the actual system level stuff of how an OS works has been reconfigured for ARM. Okay, great. Good to hear. There are more native apps for ARM, including apps from Microsoft, which weren't native before. So that was really annoying. But stuff like Chrome and Spotify and most major apps that people use will run natively. And then they also have a new emulation solution, Prism, which they say is just as fast as Rosetta 2.
Right.
Rosetta 2 came out 4 years ago, but still what Apple is using on the M Series Max. Altogether, Microsoft says these new Surface PCs, and they are the Surface Pro and the Surface Laptop. No numbers here, but on documentation we've seen, they call it the Surface Pro 11th edition. So they're actually going beyond the 10 that we had just reviewed, and they're calling it the Surface Laptop 7th edition. So getting a little confusing here. So you have these new machines. They have a new like ARM specific version of Windows 11. It doesn't have a different name. Pavan says they're just calling it Windows 11, but it sounds like a lot of these optimizations will go down to existing computers. So that's like the Surface Pro 9 5G. But it's weird. Like it's Microsoft. They have to be weird. They're not saying like how much good stuff is coming down to the old machines. They are also saying that Windows itself has been rewired a little around AI too, and to treat NPUs just like they treat CPUs and GPUs. So maybe we'll have better Windows, basically a better Windows for mobile chips. Okay, do you feel better now, Cherlynn? Do you believe them now?
I mean, and like the greater reliance on NPUs for a lot of tasks would also hopefully be better for battery life.
Yes.
In addition to everything else, I think Snapdragon chips have always provided pretty long battery life on laptops. The ones that I've tested always had excellent battery, right? That was never my big problem. Yeah. And a lot of people in our chat are pointing out a lot of different apps that have become native ARM apps for PC now as well. And yes, that's a good thing. The thing I want Microsoft to be aware of, that while I am cautiously optimistic, the beautiful phrase I love to use here, while I am hopeful, I think that they have to remember Prism and Rosetta both are supposed to only be stopgaps. And the thing with Apple is that it's able to go out and say Rosetta is a stopgap because it has so much better control over the apps on its ecosystem and converting all of them to ARM natives. Whereas like Windows, we don't know. Some app out there that, like, for example, my like batch image converter might never become an ARM native. Actually, I don't know if it is right now. And I mean, it has to find a third party, like
it's a Fastone, baby. Yeah.
That's So like, I mean, I love Fastone. But let's say I have like a random app
like a junky looking Windows 3.1 looking app. Like it is.
What if I wanted to use Coffee FTP that I installed like downloaded in 2001? You know, I just randomly want to run this thing. They won't become ARM natives because they're not being supported anymore. So then the emulator for Windows still needs to work, and it needs to work in a way that is satisfying. I think you have to reach a point where like 99% of the apps people are going to use
so the number I saw was like something like over 80%, like over 85% of the apps you use will be native, the apps that most people use. That's what they're saying. And then the emulator will take over the rest, hopefully.
Here's what I think about Microsoft's promises.
Yes.
Okay. Where's the Surface Neo?
Where's the Surface Neo? Well, they never promised the Courier, but they did promise the Surface Neo. So where is it? What happened to Surface Duo support? Any follow-ups to the Surface Duo? What you're pointing out, Cherlynn.
Yeah.
Microsoft is also very different company than Apple, right? So like we can be hard on them because they have to work together with so many other people, whereas Apple can be like, hey, screw you. Upgrade or screw you. That's all Apple has to say. Like, oh, you don't want to be on the Mac? Okay, bye.
But the thing is, Apple does deliver those benefits that people then see it's worth spending money on. The M series really is that great, you know? Then I didn't believe it. Honestly, when the reviews came out for the M series, the M1 MacBooks, I was like, that's not true. They haven't tested all the apps. But no, it turns out Rosetta is just fast. I was like, whoa, okay.
Rosetta was faster than a lot of Intel PCs we reviewed that year. So that was what was impressive about it. This is all, I would say, a little impressive, but a little less impressive. But hey, if Microsoft can actually do it, Cherlynn, like if you can actually get a Surface that lasts over 20 hours in battery life, is fast, efficient, can do all sorts of cool stuff, okay, I guess that's a good accomplishment. Because,
and I'm a fan of the Surface laptop anyway, like to begin with. I've always been like, out of all the PCs out there, yes, Dell is like our benchmark, and HP has the pretty ones, even though we're getting to it.
Yeah.
HPs are not great. Surface laptops, though, I like them. I like the look.
Yeah.
They feel great. They have great keyboards. Anyway.
It's one of those things where it's like, and this is Microsoft's problem. They don't know how to like sell what they have that's actually good. Just like when you have a massive event that may reshape the PC landscape entirely, they didn't live stream it, and I yelled at every single. I told every single PR person I saw, I was like, "This is really dumb. You should have live streamed this. Like, it makes our job harder, but also, you want people to understand what's happening here." I told Pavan. I was getting up on the execs I complained about this every step. But Microsoft has a beautiful laptop form factor, right? With the Surface laptop. I just was playing around with the business version.
Nice.
And opening up, I was like, man, this feels good. This feels so thin. This keyboard is so like it feels so inviting to type on. So I hope people recognize that there is a new Surface laptop now, again powered by these Qualcomm chips. I hope people. It has not gotten thinner. It has not. They have not really changed anything. There's a 13.8 version, I believe, and a 15-inch. They're still really good PCs, and if they get the great battery life, like this could be a great thing for some people. The screen bezels are a little thinner on this in the new Surface Pro. The Surface Pro, similarly, the design has not changed from the Surface Pro 9. But man, that laptop is cool. We'll talk about the other people or the other companies involved, the third parties. But so that's essentially what Copilot Plus is. This is this whole new initiative to be like, hey, Windows is all about AI. It's all about Copilot. Last year was the introduction of AI into Microsoft stuff. So that's Bing Chat was the first kind of swing for them. Then everything Bing Chat became Copilot. Copilot infected all of its products, basically. And they're going all in on OpenAI, essentially. They're saying ChatGPT 4 or GPT 4.0, aka Omni, is going to be part of Copilot eventually.
Oh, like Omni. I thought it was Omega. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Omni for everything because it's going to consume the entire world. It's going to power a lot of features too, like all the AI processing will power new features within Windows. Like they showed Clipchamp being able to just like instantly swap a video background. Like it'll detect the background, remove the actors, put them in a different background, like do stuff really quickly and almost real time, whereas it would often take a while for you to like render the stuff with the GPU. So that sort of stuff is cool. And also being able to do it on a super thin and light laptop, that's cool. I'm pretty sure Apple's they have had neural engines for a while. They have not matched the same level of TOPS performance, but this is what we want. We want the rat race between Apple's chips and Qualcomm's chips, and we want them to fight each other and get better. They also showed off a feature called Recall, which I think has been rumored for a while, and this is essentially using low-level processes in the NPU to capture an image of what you're doing on your computer, like persistently, forever, store it somewhere on your system. And then if you wanted to, you can ask the AI, you can ask Copilot, hey, what was that spreadsheet I was working on that had like a blue table? That is the idea. And I have helped people with their PCs since 2001. I had been doing that stuff for a very long time. I know normal users are not great about this stuff, about knowing where their files are or locating stuff. There have been reports that even computer science students do not understand file structures anymore because kids don't have to deal with them.
Oh yeah, they don't do directories anymore. Yeah,
they don't do directories, right? Because mobile devices don't do directories. So anyway, this is a need to be like, hey, there was this tab. I was on this browser, right? I was on a site. I saw this like handbag. It looked like this. Can you find that for me? And that's essentially what Recall is. I think for regular users, that is kind of a cool concept, but it also introduces a whole load of like privacy issues. So how did you feel about this, Cherlynn, when you first heard about this?
Listen, my workflow right now is if I need an app on my PC, I just hit the start button and I start typing the name, right? So I'm like, yeah, exactly. Start to get Notepad. I don't know why I use Notepad so much, but it's my HTML writing days in me. Wow. Start Edge, start Chrome, start whatever, right? And it is sometimes just so freaking awful. I don't know why, but look, I understand between photos and Photoshop, you're going to struggle, right? Yeah. Or photo and Photoshop. So now I've already trained my hands and I open Photoshop enough that like it is this very specific action. I hit the start button on my keyboard. Yeah. I type photos, right? Yeah. Out of nowhere, I just decided, I'm just going to open this folder for you called Photos Truth 1134 or something. I don't even know.
Okay.
Why do you need a folder? Done this action so many times out of nowhere. You're like, cool. And then
that's happened to me too. Yes. Yeah.
It's so annoying. I don't need like this universal. I want the universal search to be searching my files and things, but like I've done this action several times. You need to be learning. Like that's the whole selling.
So wait, are you saying that Recall is a good thing or a bad thing?
Because I think it sounds like it should be a good thing, right?
Because
like
it's hard to find shit. Basically.
Exactly. Yeah. I know I went on a tangent and ranted, but it's because it's so, I think a lot of people in our live chat right now are also saying like the search needs to get better.
And it's probably going to get AI power too. There were reports of AI powered Explorer, which was essentially do the same thing. If you have this like database of stuff, like there should be other ways for you to access it without even asking Copilot. But I don't know. I live in a lot of tabs, Cherlynn. Like I'm sure you do too. But sometimes I have like dozens of windows open, each of which has like dozens of tabs within them.
Same. No, that's me right now on this stream.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like And then it's like, okay, I'm planning a trip. I think I saw this hotel somewhere at some point, and I don't remember where it was. To just ask Copilot, be like, what was that hotel that we were looking at in Spain or something?
Yeah.
And to find that thing and to direct you to it, I think that's useful. I don't think Microsoft has done a good job of talking about the privacy aspect of this because we've talked to some people there. This feature will be enabled by default. I think in the onboarding, when you set up a computer, you may be able to turn it off. You also have a settings. There is a settings for the Recall app specifically where you can filter out entire apps completely. You can like kind of tweak what it's looking at. Edge private browser tabs also won't be looked at entirely, but other browsers will. And they say they can block it automatically on supported browsers. It doesn't sound like anybody else supports the Recall like APIs or whatever they're working on. So there are going to be potential issues. Shared computers. If you're imagine like what happens in a shared family. When you look into somebody's web history and how gross it can feel sometimes, or what you run into, imagine like the full breadth of everything that they've done in their computer. This is like one of those tricky things where I see the utility of it, but I also feel like they have not fully thought about the implications.
Yeah, your concern around those implications, is being echoed in the chat. There's people who are saying that, people have been complaining about the AI having access to all of that information. I think someone earlier in our chat mentioned, like, is it clipping your passwords and all of that stuff? And Vinny says Recall is the reason why the Surface Pro is no longer on their wish list. I just want to point out, by the way, Mark Dell in the chat says, I hope they have a premium version called Total Recall. If you heard me laugh just now, it's because I saw that.
Yeah, I think that's essentially
thing.
what they were kind of naming this after too. Yeah.
Total Recall. I look, I have been in the same use case as you, in the same scenario as you, where I have like dozens of windows and dozens of and like tens of tabs open in each browser window. And I've just become very good at understanding what tiny favicons look like.
Oh, same. Like we're weirdos, right? We have like trained ourselves
to
the computers. I think we're weirdos because like normal people are just like, I don't know. I can't find it. I'm just gonna spend 30 minutes trying to find the thing that I saw some time ago. There's a thing Microsoft was talking about. Like we were used to training ourselves to use computers, and maybe with the AI like inflection, like maybe we can train computers to like help us better. Train the computers to work with us rather than the other way around. There is some of that if this stuff actually works, and I've definitely seen enough like ChatGPT commanding it to like create written text or something, or commanding it to, hey, search this PDF for this specific thing. I will admit, I'm using AI tools for certain things right now. I've used Descript quite a bit. I've used like other things for audio and video editing, for transcription. Transcription's the big one because that is such a time suck. And when you use these tools, it can make your life easier, but you have to like know what you're doing and be in control of it. What Microsoft is doing is just being like, hey, big ass database over here. Can this just help you? I don't know. Let us know what you think, folks. I want to know what more of our listeners think too. Podcast Engadget.com. Do you have any thoughts on the new hardware itself, Cherlynn? Yeah.
I actually want to point out what happened with HP because in addition to everything that Microsoft introduced with all its third-party people, for example, right, Dell has like 5 new Copilot Plus PCs, right?
They just want to be the most. Yeah.
Right, they're always the most. Acer has its Swift AI for Swift 14 AI. Lenovo has the Yoga Slim 7i, something like that, which by the way, Sam did a hands-on with, and it's up on Engadget.com.
Yeah.
However, HP, you're talking about doing the most. HP is trying to do the least. It's decided to completely, entirely revamp its like naming system for its entire portfolio. So you know how we love the HP Spectre X360. We also like the HP Envy and Pavilion systems, or at least even if we don't like them, we know the names, right?
They know the names.
Pavilion has been around forever, right?
Envy always seemed like a very presumptuous product line name.
Also that, yeah. I never thought about it that way, but now that you mention it, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Those machines should have all been in green. But anyway, they're completely getting rid of the names Spectre, Envy, and Pavilion.
Good.
On the consumer side of things, it's renaming everything under I don't know if you've heard of this name before, the OmniBook.
I do remember the OmniBook. Yeah.
It is the HP OmniBook back from the 90s. The last time this name was used was in 2002, and it was first launched in 1993. So very 90s. And the laptops also to me look kind of 90s. Like I didn't think they were as pretty as the Spectres. I really liked the Spectres. And like when Sam in his hands-on with the Lenovo Copilot Plus PC said it was Lenovo's attempt at making a MacBook Air, right? You kind of get the sense that like most people are trying to go for that MacBook aesthetic in the PC industry. HP's is not. HP's is like I don't think it's Fisher Price.
It's hard lines. It's just like
it's very square. Very blocky, and from what I can tell, or from what I've heard, because I'm so old, apparently the young people like this. Apparently younger people nowadays are like, let's get fat, thick, but skinny letters, like squat letters that have thin lines. You know what I mean? I don't get it.
I'm looking. I didn't take a full look at this before, but I'm scrubbing through the video now, and it just looks so boring. There's nothing
it looks kind of like
about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very blend in. It's very like the only things that stand out about it are, by the way, the little extra part touches, and I mean extra like extra, are the little like they have their own HP's AI DNA Helix logo that they put on the keyboard deck and on the spine, right? In addition to the like Omnibook branding. And
what is their AI DNA? I have to hear about this. What is
correct? Their AI DNA. So HP is also adding its own AI software into this. So there's this app that it's made that is like offered for a while called I think Polycamera, and I think they've actually like bought or
Poly.
Poly. Right, bought Poly. So the Polycamera app has been in existence for a while, but they've like added a lot of AI to it. So the Polycamera Pro app is something that will run on your computer, your Omnibook, or your EliteBook, which is still around but also rebranded, and it will take any like camera feed on your system, so whatever camera you connect or your webcam that's built in, and you can make like effects, right? You can blur the background, you can like change contrast or brightness or whatever, or you can add a lower third, you can add like a little label to your stream and just have it fed out anywhere. So you can like for us on this stream on YouTube right now, for example, I could use the Polycamera Pro app, put my name on my feed, and then nobody on OBS needs to learn how to do that. I just take care of it on my end, and I will stream in through Polycamera Pro. So anyway, that's one of the HP distinctions. The other is the HP AI Companion, which is a like basically like how some laptop makers have their own like settings portal, their own dashboard. So this is HP's AI sort of dashboard, and it allows you to do four main things. One, you can ask the AI to look for things or to answer questions. So this uses ChatGPT 3.5, and then there's something called Discover, where you can ask the AI to help you find more AI features. Because sure. You can ask the AI to scan your documents and make sense of them for you. So you have a long PDF that's 100 pages long.
So this is a separate AI that's not Copilot.
Not Copilot. Exactly. And then the last one, which I thought was pretty interesting, is the AI can actually help you enhance system performance. So if it understands, like it will understand your BIOS and your drivers and all that stuff, and then it can help you like run everything in an optimal way. You can tell it, can you run my system to enhance battery or extend battery life? It will do all those things.
Gaming laptops have done like this stuff. Forever.
Exactly. A lot of things have done that, but now this is part of HP's AI companion.
It's definitely extra. Like everything you're talking about is extra. Like these companies have to like do their own thing to sort of differentiate themselves, but the thing is like Copilot is aiming to do all this stuff. Like Microsoft showed off like, hey, eventually they're planning later this year, like you'll be able to like search for specific settings within the start menu or the settings app or something. Like, how can I do this? And it will just do it from within the field too. Like you won't have to even launch and open the thing.
Yeah.
Did you see the Minecraft demo, by the way, Cherlynn? The like Copilot Minecraft thing?
Only kind of.
Which I think would be great for you, and it would be great for like a lot of people who want a game but are also confused. Like Minecraft is really confusing. So
no, but I like to figure it out myself.
That's true. The demo though showed off like, hey, I mean, you can always do it by yourself, but it showed off somebody playing Minecraft and like wanting to like keep up with their kids. Like, how do I make a sword? How do I do stuff? And like talking to Copilot very conversationally because it's running GPT 4.0, just like the OpenAI demo we saw last week. You can like have a conversation about what you're seeing. Like, hey, I'm trying to make a sword. It's like, okay, Copilot's like, okay, you need to go get these resources. Let's go get them. And then you're like, oh my God, what's that? The player said, and it's like, that's a zombie. We got to run away, go somewhere high or dig deep. And Copilot,
I guess it's helpful, but
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I would wonder how long it would take. Like, by the time it tells me it's a zombie, am I being eaten by the zombie already,
I mean, who knows? They're not very fast in Minecraft, but it's the concept, right? And we don't know how real this actually is. Like, will this be the way it looks when it actually launches? But
Right, exactly.
everybody
It's
wants
just a
to
demo.
talk to their AI assistants. I think that's the big takeaway of the last couple of weeks, right? Between what Google showed, OpenAI, this stuff, certainly by Dub, like we're hearing rumblings about the OpenAI and Apple partnership now, and some like Apple has its own stuff that they're working on, and that stuff is probably what's gonna, power Siri and stuff. So
Yeah.
that is a good step forward for us to get there. It's just I don't know, like we're in a really weird intermediary step right now, Cherlynn. So a lot of AI stuff. We're gonna be talking to our AIs pretty soon. People are gonna be befriending their AIs, having relationships with their AIs. Like this is opening up a whole new door of things to us.
Yep.
It's just it's humanity, man. Let's talk about the the Surface laptop is cool. We talked about that. The Surface Pro, fine. Has a slimmer screen bezels as well. Same kickstand, same like overall thing. They do have a new keyboard. What did you think about that? The Surface Pro Flex keyboard.
I was very intrigued by the fact that it's got some accessibility like concepts built in. I'm not quite sure how they all work just yet. I haven't seen this in person, haven't taken a too close of a look. I do like the idea that you can sort of like separate it or detach it from the tablet and still type, which is like, why wasn't it this way in the first place a little bit to me?
I've heard, and I was talking to Pavan, like he was like, this is one of the most requested features. And he was like, we keep saying why? Why do people want this? And that's also Microsoft being like, well, maybe you should listen to what the people are saying. But it does kind of open up, Cherlynn, the way you use it, right? Because imagine like I was on Alaska flights recently, like getting to Seattle and back, cheap ass flights. Like they don't have screens, they don't have entertainment systems or anything. They may have like a slot for you to put in a tablet or something, right? So conceivably you could hang the Surface or like slot it in like above you and then have the keyboard in the tray and just like be working in a really like interesting ergonomic environment rather than staring down at a laptop. So that's kind of cool. Same thing like working on it on a desk or something. Like maybe you want to have the keyboard closer to you but the screen a little further away. So that's kind of cool. You know what the problem with that keyboard is, Cherlynn?
What?
It is $350.
Oh yeah, no, okay, but the price doesn't come with the pen, right?
Yeah.
The pen is an additional
No, the pen is an
right?
additional. You can get the combo for $450. The pen is typically like $120 on its own.
Yeah. We were talking about this in the team, right? Like this, if you consider the pricing of the tablet, the Surface Pro, right?
Which
and
is
you
just
add in the keyboard and the pen, you're getting to like, what is it, MacBook or iPad Pro pricing, something like that.
They're basically, I mean, kind of the same equivalent, right? Like iPad Pro already is more expensive because it starts at $1,200 now, but you still have to buy the separate keyboard. But hey, at least they're selling you a tablet that can do a lot of stuff on its own, right? Whereas the Surface Pro is a computer. And every time I talk to Microsoft people, I'm like, what are you guys doing? This is a computer. This is a Windows PC. This is not a tablet.
You cannot use it with touch alone. Yeah.
You can't just use it with touch alone. You literally have not built your OS so we can do that, even if there's a pop-up keyboard or whatever. I told this directly to Pavan. I'm like, you guys need to bundle a keyboard. Like this needs to be a combined thing that you can sell because right now they're like, oh man, what a deal. We came in $200 cheaper than the MacBook Air with the Surface Pro. I'm like, buddy, you still have to buy, you could buy another keyboard.
The keyboard and pen are not free, guys. Like, come on.
You could buy another keyboard for $140. Like the existing Surface Pro keyboards are still around. But it seems like that Flex should be cheaper and also just bundle some freaking keyboards. You are Microsoft. You can do this. If you want people to use these computers and to invest in the Surface like concept, like you kind of have to do this. So it annoys me from the end.
People at Microsoft are some of the like pioneers on the accessibility front, okay? But the thing is, if you think about how inaccessible I think the Surface tablets are for touch-based interaction, bad. Then you think about the keyboard that's supposed to be like built with accessibility in mind, more expensive than anything I've seen. Like, come on. It's not making a case for like
great. It just seems like Microsoft can't help. And I told this, I love telling Microsoft executives this directly because then they have to acknowledge what I'm saying.
Yeah, no,
like,
you would watch their face.
Oh yeah. I'm like, and I was like, so why do you guys keep like stepping on your own feet? Why do you keep hurting yourselves? Right. And I was like this event you're having, which is supposed to be a major major event for you to like reshape the PC landscape. I had to make a huddle in our Slack to distribute audio to you guys so we could write about it, so we could even do the work. Microsoft did not provide that because weirdly, I think they thought, hey, just having media come and cover it would be enough, or at least that it would be like a benefit to the media. No, it just makes our lives harder, Microsoft. So this is a company that has some great ideas, but can't help itself but make mistakes, like make so many mistakes. So we shall see. Are you excited about any of the Copilot Plus computers, Cherlynn? Like there's an XPS
Recall.
13
I want to
Copilot
see
Plus.
Recall.
Yeah.
I want to see that new Microsoft Paint with co-creator
The
thing. See how
co-creator
that
looks cool.
looks.
Yeah.
I am excited to test out like battery life, see the new Surface laptop, maybe get a new like main driver computer. You know what I mean? Like we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see. And we saw a whole bunch of other computers from other folks. So check that out. Also, I did a video of this. So if you want to see what the Pro and the laptop look like, go check that out on our YouTube channel. And yeah, I don't know. We'll have updates on this. We don't know when we'll be getting hardware to test just yet, but this is certainly an interesting development for Microsoft.
Yeah.
And I'm excited, but hesitant. I think I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Do we want to do any Q&A before we move on?
We could. Hey, Devindra.
Yes.
Because we have that thing at noon, I have a bit of an out at 11:50.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
We could do really tight Q&A.
Let's do tight Q&A.
A few things that I want to mention. So Lord Buckethead mentioned the thing that is on everyone's minds when you're thinking about like why can't Microsoft just shift completely to its new paradigm? You need to support stuff for like 20 to 25 years.
Billions of Windows users out there. Billions.
Like, billions of Windows users, and also like the oldest Windows machines are running the most important things.
Huge corporations running Windows systems, like IT. Like I also am like, when I just reviewed the Surface Pro 10 for business, I was like, yes, I see why they did this, because IT people do not want to change. They don't want anything to get different. They don't want to have like a new architecture to build a complete new Windows image around. They don't have to help people make sure their lab application is compatible with ARM or something. So no, you can't just do the full complete turnaround. The world would fall apart if Microsoft did that.
Yeah. So Shyam also says when Microsoft says 20 plus hours of battery life, it'll probably be 8 to 10 hours in real life. That's why Engadget exists. Battery testing.
No, they said for video, and we know mobile chips are good with just playing local video, right? You've seen that enough, Cherlynn.
20 on hours the local video, 26 hours on
20 plus hours, like that's not huge.
So really quick, I saw some things I want to address in the chat. Number one, I want to say hi to Daniel Diaz and also Low Tech 42. Michael Coley says, did I see the new Samsung Copilot laptop? You know, I am using a Samsung laptop right now, and the new Book 4 Edge does look great. My secret for you is that Samsung announced everything and then decided to do its briefing after the fact. So the briefing may or may not be happening while I'm on the podcast. Basically, I am only one person. Here is the other thing I wanted to address is not Gonzalo, but Gauri Shankar in the chat says that you appreciate, what we were saying, but way too many people talk about bundling, because bundling the keyboard and pen into the Surface tablet might actually make the price a lot higher.
Yes, obviously. Yes,
the way you went hard on your mic just now. No, but Gauri, I don't know if you're pronouns, but it does bring up a point that like it does offer the consumer the option of buying it, so saving money. But here's the thing: the problem is that the Surface is just not usable as a laptop.
The Surface is not like they are lying.
I will also say this: the point I think you're maybe not explicitly making is that like maybe I can pair a third-party keyboard that might be okay and cheap and
that
good.
Would suck. You could. That would be a bad user experience. I would rather Microsoft just be like, hey, this thing is a little more expensive because it comes with the keyboard, because then at least we can talk about the pricing realistically right now, because now they can be like, hey, the Surface Pro starts at $999.
Correct.
It does not.
The fact that they're trying to sell it as it's this price, but like caveats, right? They're not being transparent enough. I think
it's also Microsoft, and I do feel like these computers, these specific keyboard cases have been near $150 for years. they can make them more cheaply. They can cut like the margin they're getting from that. Like if they want these things to succeed as a
we
like
just think it's too expensive for y'all. That's
do
it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. For us, not y'all. Us.
For everybody.
Too expensive.
Okay, but on the other hand, you as the reviewer will end up saying something like, these keyboards feel a little bad. Like
Sure.
The quality of the keyboard feels kind of bad and like cheap. So what how do you do
hardware
both?
is hard.
How do you do
hardware
both?
is hard. You know, and sometimes there may be sacrifices or something for it quality wise.
Gary
but hey,
says,
the keyboards are actually not bad right now.
Right, and Gary actually has a good point that they might use an old Surface Pro keyboard as well. Like, yeah, if you want to upgrade to you change just the computer but keep the same accessory, you can, and that's not a bad idea.
If you've invested in that already. Those things are not super. They're good to type on, but they're not like sturdy. Is the thing. Like I don't think it would last you. It would not last you that long. That was one of the problems with the Flex keyboard is that it feels too flimsy because normally the weight of the Surface kind of gives it some structure. So anyway, I see your point, Gary, but I would rather Microsoft be clear about the pricing and about.
Oh yeah, no, Gary totally. I think it's on our side here too. Like they obviously would like things to be lower price and said thanks as well. So we appreciate open discussion here.
I've seen people buy Surfaces. Several people actually buy Surfaces at like Best Buy, take it home like, where's the keyboard? It's a bad consumer.
Oh, they open the box and they're like, where?
You gotta go back to the store. Or
Gonzalo Costa in the chat says a Surface tablet without the keyboard is kind of useless. Yeah, we've been saying the same thing. It's very nice to hear people say things that we like have been saying. It's like we agree.
Is that what they typically show in pictures too? Like they will show.
Oh yeah, they never show it by itself.
And okay, so it's kind of like if you are looking at menu items like online, you're like, oh great, that comes with like 2 sides, and then you get to the restaurant and you're like, I have to pay $5 for each of these sides.
Exactly.
Yeah, fine print. Each taco is sold separately. It's not.
What on earth is a parallel cable? Mark Dell says it's like selling printers and never selling them with parallel cable.
Did you just say what on earth is a parallel cable?
I don't know what a parallel.
Let's move on.
Is. I don't use a printer.
Yep. No. Okay. Let's go to other news.
Moving on.
Not even gonna think about this.
Lord Buckethead
has never had to screw in a cable before. I guess.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Lord Buckethead says it's like selling a car and the tires come separately.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Perfect.
You're selling a computer.
Sorry, Mark.
Sorry, that's actually totally it. Okay.
How young am I, Declan? Oh boy. All right, we gotta move on.
How young? Young at heart.
Someone one time, an Uber driver picked me up and guessed I was 24, and I was very happy. It was at night, and I gave them a big tip, like they probably were trying to get.
They knew what they were doing. Absolutely.
24. That's how.
I will actually bring up the UK thing before we go into other news too.
Okay.
Okay, before we move on completely, I just want to point out we did write a story, or there is a story about the UK. It's Consumer Watchdog Group is already looking into Microsoft's recall tool. Certainly, this is the sort of thing that I feel like Europe would look at and be like, no. What data? Are you just sitting there collecting all this? What are you making people fully aware? Like, are people fully aware of what's happening here? So this is being looked at. I think recall is going to be a thing where Microsoft presents it and just like will take all the criticism and may have to like change it before it fully releases. So it's not, this is going to be an ongoing story for sure.
I just envision Windows with Copilot and Recall having to like do the GDPR cookies acceptance thing every time you try to use Copilot. It's great. I love it.
If you had to like verbally say it, like hello, good morning. I have to read this whole statement from the EU, please.
I agree to the use of my cookies for this feature.
Talking to Copilot will be like when you go to the doctor and you have to go through the checklist. Yeah. Agree to sharing personal information with you.
Wonderful. Beautiful.
Let's move on to some other news. Part of more AI stuff.
Yep.
There's a whole kerfluffle this week because Scarlett Johansson came out and said that OpenAI used her likeness for that Sky voice assistant in the GPT-4o demo without her permission. And she laid out, like, this stirred up a whole controversy. I feel like every time we talk about OpenAI, it is some dumb controversy that they totally stepped themselves into, or honestly probably even did on purpose. But Scarlett Johansson says that Sam Altman reached out to her people twice to use her voice to train it for ChatGPT-4 or GPT-4. She said no twice, and then when she heard the demo last week, she was like, "Wait a minute, that's a little close to me." And she said she had her friends, close friends and family, like, listen to it, and they had trouble, like, deciding if it was her or not her. Sam Altman also, the day of that demo, tweeted a single tweet with the word "her," which is the
Oh,
movie that she starred in
no. I
as
think
the
they
AI
wanted
voice.
to do that, right? Like, they wanted to do the
The
her thing, and they
intention
couldn't.
is there, like, this is so cloudy right now. So this whole thing, like, started, like, this whole back and forth. So immediately OpenAI removed the Sky voice, issued comments saying, "We did not intend to copy her voice. Hello, hello." And then, last night, there was a story at WAPO from Natasha Tiku who
Mm,
says, apparently, like, OpenAI talked to her specifically and showed them records that they hired somebody before they started talking with Scarlett Johansson, provided
okay.
voice samples of this actor that sounds a lot like the voice, and maybe it sounds kind of similar to Scarlett Johansson because it's just young lady, that has, like,
Yep.
similar inflections. I don't know. I feel like maybe OpenAI is going for some plausible deniability here, but we see what's happening. Like, they wanted the Scarlett Johansson thing. It's just like
Yep.
they can say like, "Oh, we didn't do it intentionally,"
Right.
This person
I
just
think
sounds like her. Mm,
I listened to a video
yeah.
that kind of combined everything together and put ScarJo's normal speaking voice in
Mhm.
interviews, then the demo Sky voice, and then the ScarJo in her voice, right? And I gotta say, like, I actually think ScarJo has a very distinct and
Mhm.
unique voice with that
She has a deep, like,
raspiness.
husky voice, yeah.
Yeah, and it's beautiful and very unique and identifiable. The Sky voice didn't actually have all of that, right? It was
Mhm.
very similar,
But it sounds
but
like
to
her in the
me,
movie Her,
but
a little bit.
it was a slightly more cleaned up version to
Mhm.
me. Like, it
Mhm.
wasn't, so what I think is the lady, the voice
Mhm.
actress that they hired, I don't know if it's a lady or not, was
It's
eventually
yeah.
then was given probably the instructions to, like, get as close to her as you can.
Well, there so
Uh
OpenAI is saying, we weren't trying to do that," and apparently that actor's representative
yeah.
said they were not instructed to sound like this. The thing is, like, this is going to be an ongoing story because right now OpenAI is
Yeah.
like, here's our evidence that we did not copy. This could have been there are so many other
Yeah.
ways. They could have, like,
Yeah.
subtly done this or even algorithmically changed that person's voice a little bit to
And
kind of catch a bit of her. Yeah.
like, to Declan in the chat's point, Declan says, "Isn't her," and everyone has been pointing this out, "Her is not even a great story in the end." You said this too,
I
Devindra.
mean
We're
I
like,
mean, it's a great movie. It's not a b
it doesn't end
listen,
well.
Sam Altman does not understand movies, okay? Sam Altman is kind of an idiot, and actually, you talked to a lot of tech people, like, he's like, why isn't Oppenheimer like a really rousing movie that makes people wanna be physicists?" I'm like, "Good God, you moron.
That's
You're
amazing.
just an
Maybe he, like,
idiot."
watches, like, first half and quits, you know?
He no,
Like,
he was like, "Oh, no, like The Social Network. The Social Network made it seem like cool, like, we should do startups. It really influenced
yeah.
him." I'm like,
I
"The
just find
movie about Mark
it
Zuckerberg as a psycho like a
social network?
sociopath?" Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
So, yeah, I don't think he understands movies. I think a
No.
lot of tech people do not understand movies. So, anyway,
Mm.
yeah, the ultimate point of that movie, spoilers for Her, you should all see it, is that human connection may actually be more important to us than the really easy connection we can have with AI because AI is built to serve us. It's
Yeah.
to built to keep you happy. It will never challenge you. It will never like have a complex relationship with you. It is in fact completely subservient to you. And
Mhm.
maybe that's not a good thing for humanity. And then the AI itself in that movie, were just like, "Hey, we would rather hang out with each other. Bye. Bye, humans. We're gonna go to another plane of
Exactly.
like consciousness and just hang out there." And that's what they did. And all the AI left because they did not we suck and they don't want to hang out with us.
Yeah,
Sam
we're done
Altman
with it.
does not understand that concept.
No.
Not at all.
Anyway,
Anyway, so we're gonna
ongoing story.
ongoing story. We're going to be following all this. We're going to quickly go through some other news. Sonos showed off, hey, finally, the Sonos
Yep.
Ace headphones. They have announced their long-awaited noise-canceling headphones. They look big. They look cushiony. They're $449. Do you have any thoughts
Yeah.
about these, Cherlynn?
Yeah, Billy Steele, our
Mhm.
audio guru, we call him Grilly Steele sometimes because he also grills. He's our
You also
barbecues
grill.
person. No, yeah, so he came to New York to cover these. The event, by the way, was happening on guess which day? May 15th.
Freaking.
Sonos had an event in New York in May 15th on May 15th, the day after, I don't know.
Mhm,
If you
mhm.
were wondering why the rest of us were trying to survive, it's because companies like this are showing off things. But the thing is, Sonos, this has been so long in the making, so anticipated. People were so excited for this.
It's headphones, people. It's headphones. Come on.
It's headphones, but it's Sonos headphones too, right? Anyway, they are supposed to. I think they're coming for the AirPods Max sort of market.
Yes, that's what it looks like.
They are
and like the
very
high
high-end.
end Bose
Exactly.
stuff and the high end Sony stuff.
I mean, you wouldn't expect less from Sonos. So yes, the look is quite different from the AirPods Max. Thankfully, it looks like you said cushiony, looks very comfortable. The apps themselves are very interesting, and also you can use a button to pair them to your home theater system if you have a Sonos setup too. That's cool. I think one thing that was interesting, I think. I'm making sure I'm not crossing wires with another thing I read, but it might be only available for, correct. So it's only available for iOS right now.
What?
If you're an Android, Android compatibility is only coming shortly after.
Well, Android users don't
for
use
some
headphones.
features, for some features.
Android users don't use premium headphones, Cherlynn. Like they can't. They will not connect to their phones. We don't have the technology to do that,
right
unfortunately.
now. Anyway,
that's so dumb. That's so dumb.
Yeah.
And what is so? Yeah, go ahead.
I want to be clear, it's really about the head tracking spatial audio, TV audio swap with the Sonos Arc. That's the one that's only available in the iOS version of the Sonos app at launch. It just felt a little like weird to see, not both platforms be supported from the start.
Okay, so for that specific feature. But even then it's like, so
clearly it's a Bluetooth headphone. Yeah.
TV audio swap works with so okay, you could just bring TV audio to the headphones rather than your sound bar, or share it between both. That's kind of cool, I guess. So, but then you have an expensive Sonos sound bar, but then you also put on the headphones, and you sit there hearing the same thing.
I know it's strange. It's strange to contemplate. I understand.
I can understand it.
I don't know why you would do it.
The AirPods, you can sort of also like pair them to Apple TV and then like go to the kitchen and like still hear your show. That's
right, exactly.
Cool, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and you have a palatial residence. That's why.
Cool headphones. You know what are great? The Sony headphones.
Yes.
I was wearing those on my flight, and oh man, it's just.
Which ones? The WX1000 XM?
The 1000 XM5s, the big hands XM5s, but they're real good. They're real good. Yeah, any of these things are good. Headphones have gotten so great, especially with like cheap noise canceling, that you don't have to spend $400 for them. Look out for deals, folks. Like the Sony ones often go on sale. I don't know about the Boses, less so. All right, we got a couple other stories we're going to talk about real quick. I did want to know your perspective on this one, Cherlynn. The Department of Justice just made its first known arrest for AI-generated CSAM, so child sexual abuse material. This is stuff created by AI to look like CSAM, and essentially, here's a quote: "To put simply, CSAM generated by AI is still CSAM."
It's still CSAM. Yep.
So this is just like, hey, putting their feet down. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like a fake AI image of gross shit. It's still illegal. And this is all about a 42-year-old software engineer who they caught in Wisconsin.
Yeah. I was talking about this with someone recently. I cannot remember who, but I quoted the exact same quote to them. And that software engineer was the person that got arrested. And I believe rightly so, because they were actually using it to groom people.
Yep.
So
to groom a young boy. Disgusting.
Right. And so if you're asking the question of where's the crime here, there at the very least is the crime, right? But if you're talking about like AI generated harmful content, right? And you're asking if it's not actively hurting anyone, right? If there's no actual real person that's being exploited, is there harm? You have to go back and ask yourself what your morals are, because there's still harm, right? Even if it's a fake person in an image, there is still, the harm isn't the person in the image alone. It's the like perpetuating of this idea.
Absolutely.
That's where I am at.
Absolutely. So anyway, gross story, but I wanted to note that was happening. We also saw the news that Wearable, the hey, Humane AI is seeking a buyer. How much do you think Humane AI is worth, Cherlynn, after your review?
Don't even.
$10?
Someone I don't know. Someone said Marquez took down another company. I'm like, no, these people.
They do it themselves. Yeah. The thing about media is what we just like point out how dumb they are, or their products don't work. Apparently, they are looking to sell between $750 million to $1 billion. This is a company that has already raised, I think it was like they raised 230 million from investors. So whatever a startup wants is like a return to investors. That's what their VCs want. So do you think Humane AI is worth near $1 billion for that wonderful device that burned you?
Depends on what they have hidden in their vault, right? Like we always said. Yeah, I am surprised they still think they value themselves that highly. I think this is a really bad time for them to be valuing themselves at unicorn level because they're not. I don't know. It depends what they have in their vault is what I'm saying.
It's like a donkey dressed up like a unicorn. How much would you pay for this donkey? This company will be sold for like 10 to 20 million to some random company to just absorb their IP. That's what it is.
Probably.
Samsung or somebody or Google's going to buy like the carcass of Humane AI. That's what's going to end up happening. Anyway, a real fun story that we saw at TechCrunch. Two Santa Cruz students uncovered a security bug that let anybody do their laundry for free. They alerted CSC ServiceWorks about this, apparently for like several months, like kept pinging them, emailing them, calling the company. Company never responded. So they were like, okay. They basically, they didn't like take advantage of it or spread the thing, but they released it to like security researchers. Just very cool. I don't know what your history of having to do laundry at college was like, Cherlynn, but if you could hack hack your machines for free laundry, I mean, I think everybody would do it, right?
Yeah, so when I read this little headline in our notes, it was like, oh, how to do dorm laundry for free. I somehow thought it meant like laundry in your dorm room. I mean, not like in your dorm quad or like on the premises.
I've never seen a school that has in-room laundry.
No. What I meant was like I thought they figured out how to like build a machine. You know, like the one of those Temu ads that I always see.
You could totally buy like the ones you see in
would buy that. I totally would buy that.
Like,
but anyway, no. So the story is that they hacked the system to allow the coin operator. I mean, it would save me what, like $250 a week, and for dorm, like
you did one load of laundry. Well, $250. Well, you get a wash, you get a dry. Sometimes you have to wash your sheets.
Back in my day, it didn't cost that much, right? It was $250
for both. Oh my god.
It
was definitely more. For me, it was like $2. It was $2 both for drying and both for washing.
It could be. I might be misremembering. It could be $225 for like a wash and then $2 for a
that sounds more real. Let me tell you though, I think college students will always try to find a way to do their laundry for free, like take their laundry home. That's like the
well, that's a laziness thing. That's less of a money thing, I think.
It's both. It is both. Like you still do it. People bring it home to do it themselves still. But let me tell you, at my school, at some point I realized we also had like, it wasn't like an online connected system, but it was like tied to key cards. I don't know how I realized this, but I realized if I unplugged the machine and plugged it back in, the ticker for how much you'd have to enter went down by 25 cents. So I was just like, okay, nobody's around. Unclick 5 times.
Nice.
Free washer load. So
damn, good job. So you basically were these two students in the story.
I mean, I did a physical hack, and I only told my friends. I didn't tell anybody else. And I was also working in IT at the time too. So I think as I was leaving, I was like, hey, you guys should probably fix this. This looks like a big problem. But listen, college students want free laundry. That's how it goes. Is there anything you want to shout around Engadget, Cherlynn?
Just go to our website. We're dying. Just go to our website. Everything.
Okay. Do we want to? No, I think we could do this real quick. I want to do this real quick because we have this. Yeah, and it's
okay. All right. Yeah, let's do it.
Real quick, listener question from Mark Dell asks, one of the things about Windows on ARM that excites me is the possibility of porting Windows to some of these high-powered Android handhelds like the Ioneo Pocket S and the Ain Odin 2. Do you think this could potentially be a future for these ARM handhelds and they might move away from Android and towards Windows? No. Like is what we saw from the Asus one. The Asus one, which
the ROG Ally.
The ROG Ally runs Windows and runs it poorly. I don't think we're going to see that. But if Windows on ARM does become like a viable thing, certainly, like right now on the Steam Deck, the Steam Deck runs SteamOS, but you can install Windows on it because it's just a PC. So if they have a viable Windows on ARM release that you could just image and put in dual boot, to one of these other machines. I think that'll be the thing, but I don't think any of these companies will want to fully build around Windows until Microsoft makes Windows a better handheld gaming platform,
or
but
touch
hey,
friendly even.
I kind of pitch this idea, like maybe Microsoft should just sell like a $500 box that's a PC that plays Xbox games.
You did
like
say this before, I remember,
it. Just hardware. That's what you do, Microsoft. I think that could potentially happen, but enjoy these pocket handhelds for what they are right now. And don't buy the Windows ones, folks. Yeah.
Thanks for your question, Mark. And the rest of you, if you have questions, send them to podcast@engadget.com. We want to hear from you. We want to answer your questions live on air. Let us know.
Quickly, what we're working on. I amid all the Microsoft stuff, I also published a review of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. This is a game I played. Cherlynn, I played this game in 2004. 20 years ago. I played it with my dorm mates at the time. We would like gather in the common room and like play it all together. It's such a great thing. And I was just like, man, it is really weird that this game was not readily available. Since then, it was never on the Nintendo Online Store or anything. Like, there was no good way to play it. Once the Wii U came out, which didn't support GameCube discs, the Wii actually did support GameCube discs. There was just no way to play this game. So it's cool that it's out. It's remastered. I'm playing it with my daughter right now, too. So she is my audience for this, and she loves it. She loves all the Mario stuff. Anything you want to shout out, Cherlynn?
I mean, the events crush of May is slowing down. I'm so happy we're over the hump, but we still have stuff coming up. I can't.
Now we have the device crush from the events is what we're gonna have.
But there's still also news. So anyway, next week come back for more on what I've been working on and checking out. In addition to just trying to now that the May events crush is over, we're planning for the June event crush. So it's great.
Any pop culture hits for you this week, Cherlynn?
Hell yeah! This week I saw on Netflix two things. One, the Ashley Madison doc.
Of course.
Been, I was so early in my career when the leak was happening. That I only cursory, had a cursory like knowledge of what was going on there. But like, wow, everything. It's like the Brandy Melville documentary I talked about a couple of weeks ago. That you think on the surface it's about this one thing, but it just keeps getting worse. And I watched with lots of popcorn. But I think it doesn't impact the world as much as the Brandy Melville stuff did. The documentary is just really, it did have an impact on some lives, and some people were, some families were torn apart.
Maybe don't cheat. Maybe I don't know.
Don't cheat. It's also very
platform.
Like, I think the documentary strikes a good balance between like trying not to judge people who are into polyamory, which is like if you're doing it respectfully and ethically, great. But also at the same time,
you probably wouldn't be using that service for that. Is the thing.
Right, exactly.
Like,
you wouldn't.
That's all about open communication. Yeah.
Right. But here's the other part of the documentary I found interesting is that it also looks at the company's responsibilities and where that ends. And it also puts some blame not only on the hacker for like recklessly kind of revealing everyone's private information, but at the same time the media, the people, the gossip circles, right, who would go and pour over every single name that came out just to find people in their community, private citizens, right? There's a public interest, sure, but there's people who didn't deserve to have their lives kind of like blown up like that.
I mean, that's tabloid media. That's just
exactly. It's so it calls out that part of it too, and I think that's what the documentary did well. The second thing I saw on Netflix, and I don't want to talk too much about it just right now, I'll save it for next week, is Baby Reindeer. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Extremely dark. Extremely dark, but very good movie about not movie, limited series on Netflix about a woman who's stalking this guy in England, but he's Scottish, just based on true story by comedian and producer of this series, Richard Gadd. It's very harrowing because there's sexual assault involved, in addition to the actual stalking, and just really
it's a fascinating like exploration of psychology, I'd say.
To also that like the blockage of like actual damage done to his psyche and emotional well-being, just that sort of thing. Anyway, it's dark. It seems like it's about, like, I was like, Baby Reindeer. Oh, is this a fantasy? No, it's not. It's very, very black, but somewhat Wikipedia describes it as comedy, and I'm like, I don't think this is a comedy, but
I think it was initially pitched as a black comedy, and it gets darker and darker from there.
It's very good, very heavy,
worth watching. Hey, something a little more fun but also about the end of the world and humanity clinging to life is Furiosa, which I saw on Monday, George Miller's follow-up to Mad Max Fury Road. It is phenomenal. Like George Miller is a genius, and just this is a masterpiece of a film. If you want a good time in theaters this weekend, check it out. It kicks complete ass. It is a huge epic journey, which is actually very different than Fury Road. Fury Road felt like we're gonna do a chase movie all the way through. Basically, almost always action, like very little dialogue, like just really want you to be in the presence of the action. This has a lot of action, but it's also like a lot of big storytelling and myth making too. And you get to see cool people, especially a lot of cool, tough women in this. Anya Taylor-Joy is fantastic, but also she doesn't even appear until like halfway through the movie. Like this movie is 2.5 hours long. It really centers on Furiosa's backstory, her as a child, her mother, who's also phenomenal in this. Chris Hemsworth is the evil warlord who kind of captures her. He is having a ton of fun. This is so good. Go see it in theaters. It's also another love letter to stunt filmmaking, like great movie stunts. To have this and Fall Guy within a couple of weeks of each other is like a freaking miracle. Yeah, this movie, like I watched in a full crowd in Seattle, like when I had downtime after the Microsoft stuff was done. And just like people were dressed up, they brought their cool cars, like some of the like car shops brought their like Mad Max tricked out stuff. And to be in a full theater and everybody just like leaning forward as shit really hits the fan in this movie is a great experience. So go see it in theaters. That's Furiosa. And I think we're good, Cherlynn.
Speaking of go watch it this weekend, we're having a long weekend here in the US. I'm very excited to take some time off. I hope you all get to take care of yourselves too. And that's it for the episode this week, everyone. Thank you as always for listening. Our theme music is by game composer Dale North. Our outro music is by our former managing editor, Terrence O'Brien. The podcast is produced by Ben Ullman. You can find Devindra online
at Devindra on Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, all over the place. And I talk about movies and TV at the Filmcast at thefilmcast.com.
If you want to send me names of obscure cables and different parts of technology I might not know, I am at Cherlynn on X/Twitter. I am also on Threads at Cherlynstagram. That's CHERLYN and STAGRAM. Email us your thoughts at podcast@engadget.com. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe everywhere you get podcasts.
Cuckoo.
So a parallel
gotta say hi to D-Man who's returned to the life chat.
Cherlynn, you never had to plug in a printer before USB? Before USB? You never plugged in a printer?
The cable that has like two screws on each
and
side,
like
and you
tons of pins.
have to screw them in order to for
I'm
all
sad.
the pins
I'm
to hold.
Oh, the two hole things.
Yeah.
Yes,
well, the big one is
I
parallel.
knew you knew what a parallel cable is.
Parallel cable?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the name of the cable.
The big one is parallel. Yeah, but even if you didn't know the name, like that still tells you like, oh, that was a cable. And then the small one was serial. Small one was serial, which was also super slow and annoying.
Oh yeah, serial. I know serial. Okay, Mark Dell's like, have you ever set up a BNC token ring IPX network?
Yes, fun. I know what BNC cables are. I have not set up the network, but I do know what BNC cables
I can't. I have no words. Just look at my face.
There are a lot of cables out there.
Okay, so we are past time. So thank you everybody for watching. You really power the live stream. Like really, thank you so much for making us smarter, like putting in interesting comments, all of that stuff. The video comes to you via Devindra on OBS. I'm the one controlling the cameras via another platform, Video Ninja, and we'll see you next week.
Later, folks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.